Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Muppet. Welcome back to another Daily Masters, and you're going to be checking out a nice long one today. We had a pretty short one yesterday, Innovation versus Jadong, and that was very, very fast. But this one I think should be a nice beefy game. So let's check out the players first of all. Down the bottom right side of the map, we do of course have Polt, playing for the CM Storm team, or at least sponsored by CM Storm. I'm not sure if they're actually a team or if they're just a sponsor. I really don't know, but he is from South Korea and he is pretty damn awesome. I'm just wheeling my mouse around because I've had some lag issues with the mouse recently. I mean, the graphics look stupendous and I've got no problems with frame rate. I think my frame rate is up to 60, something like that. It's holding at 60 even while I'm recording, so very happy with that, but the mouse sometimes lags a little bit. I've got no idea why. But anyway, let's introduce our other player up the top left side. It is of course going to be HyuN, and HyuN and Polt, I remember casting them way back when I started, actually casting games, like actually started. Polt and HyuN were two of the players I cast most often in like the Zotac and the Go for SC2 tournaments. All over the place, these guys kept popping up, and they're very, very, very awesome to cast. So, very much looking forward to this game, seeing them back in action once again. So we've got a hatchery into pool build coming out from HyuN. Mr. Polt going for the fast barracks with a Reaper coming out as well, and he does, of course, have the gas, and maybe thinking about a factory to double this off. So gets out the fast Reaper, then goes for a factory and a tech lab, and yeah, that should be pretty awesome. So just going to be seeing how exactly that goes, and yeah, how HyuN is going to be able to deal with it. He is getting out the one queen, soon to be second queen coming out of the expansion, so I don't think the Reaper is going to be all that good. It's almost over there now. Do we have a bunch of Lings coming out? We do have some Lings coming out. So Ling should be able to deal with the Reaper without too many problems. The Reaper just completely skips the main base. I'm not sure about this. There were two juicy workers it could have taken out, but it decides to go for the main base. And by the time it gets there, the Lings are out. And it's going to go back here and goes back to these workers. But no, I mean, going up to the main base, it was definitely, he missed the opportunity to take out those two workers. And two workers is way more than a Reaper usually gets in best circumstances. So now it manages to get one Ling, and then the Queen drives it away. So bit unfortunate. I feel like a little bit of a wasted opportunity there for Polt. He could have taken out a couple of workers with that Reaper, but now it is far too late. Once the Queen's out on the field, you're pretty much going to get squat, absolute squat out of your Reaper harass. But we do see the reactor coming down as well as the factory, so HyuN pressure going to be coming down. But I really don't know if it's going to be able to accomplish anything, because when Queen's on the field, it means that Hellions and Reapers pretty much do nothing. I don't know what else you could be thinking about doing. Perhaps a Banshee sort of play, which would not be a bad option at all. Here we go, going to be going for a bit of a swap. I love the textures on these buildings in ultra settings, man. Look at the textures. If you're watching this on 1080p, you are enjoying it just as much as me. If you're watching it on 480p, you're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? Stupid textures. I can barely see anything on the screen, but the textures on Ultra, I mean, on top of the buildings is so beautiful. It is so beautiful, and I think the Reaper's just got taken out by Lings, so bit unfortunate there, but what can you do? I mean, really, what can you do? And the Lings running around as well, they look, well, it's a bit hard to tell if they look beautiful or not, but they're constantly moving. Let's find a Ling that's standing still. The Queen's looking pretty sweet. They got like a wet, glistening sort of look on them though. They're sort of like, they're sweating, man. These Queens are sweating all over the place. But we'll excuse them for that. Couple of Hellions going in, get chased away straight away. Not really going to be able to do too much. Do we have Ling speed? No, the Ling's running around without speed. They're just going for a bit of a scout. And it looks like Roaches are going to be the name of the game for HyuN, at least for a little while. We got a single Marine. That Marine's not going to last very long. And we do have a bunch of Hellions coming out for Polt, so that should be enough. But the Lings, if they manage to kill a mule, that is not going to be fun. And they do manage to kill a mule, so the mule does go down. There's a single Ling. Polt doesn't realize the single Ling is still here. And one worker goes down, another worker being attacked. Polt, get on top of your situation. He's trying to get some Hellions into the main here, so I suppose that's a pretty good excuse. Kills 3 workers right there. Keeps most of the Hellions alive, although the Queen is on the warpath. And roaches come around at the last second, and all of the Hellions just get exploded. So no further worker kills, but still a pretty good effort. And of course, with the wonderful Game Hard interface, which we all know and love, we do not have the proper units lost actual units display. So I can't tell how many workers have gone down, but I feel like it's been a few from each side. Here we go, the starting Viking going for the Overlord, and the Overlord is just like, why me, why me? So yeah, there we go, down. But the Roach Tech is definitely out for HyuN, although he's not going to get anytime soon because he's actually supply capped and he needs to build a bunch of Overlords. So there we go, he is 10 workers ahead though, which is pretty awesome. So he's definitely going to be happy about that. The Hellions coming out, but a single Roach against 6 Hellions. I mean, the Hellions still win, but as you can see, it's not a... That Roach actually did a bit of damage, man. So the Roach is really, really resistant to Hellion fire. But you know what? They are not resistant to? Yes, they're not resistant to Marauder fire. And there are a few Marauders out there. So with the Hellions as a sort of shield or something like that, the Marauders may be able to do something with 3 Queens out there as well. That amount of DPS is not something that Polt wants to run into. So he's just going to be backing off. And the third base for now might be okay, although he's going to run these Marauders into the third while he's distracting these with the Hellions and may be able to make something, but a couple of Roaches coming out of the third at the same time. I mean, they're going to go down to these Marauders because Marauders are so good, but they're going to be buying themselves some time, jumping into the dropship, just running away. And man, if Polt doubled his force, if he had like 6-7 Marauders in here, he would just be owning everything in sight, absolutely everything. But it looks like he's actually going for tanks at the moment, so I don't know about the tank play here. I mean, I thought he was just going to go for Triple M right here, but maybe he's thinking about mixing some back in. Oh, the Marauders, they want to do as much damage as possible before jumping into the medevac. Did a great job. Didn't really kill a lot of Roaches, maybe killed 1 or 2. But here we go, nice scan coming down, and this Queen is ripe for the picking right there. The Hellions coming through, running in, trying to get some workers down. Almost getting a worker, but there are Roaches on their tail, and love to get some more workers here. Managed to roast 1 worker, managed to roast up a couple more. Oh, I think they may have killed another one. Yes, they did. So great job here by Polt trying to get the worker numbers down, but it's slow and it's not working out all that well. And he is going to be moving these Marauders back. Going to be trying to build up a bigger army, getting some tanks going down, getting some Widow Mines. Has he got the amount of Triple M production he really needs? He's got 5 barracks at the moment, and that's not bad for the 12-minute mark. He's really going to have to push it though if this game goes into the late game, of course. You want to have like 7, 8 barracks going on, something of that sort, especially if you're building Marauders, because you're only building 1 at a time, as opposed to the 2 you'd be building with Marines. So here we go, this Viking absolutely going nuts. This is going to be his 5th Overlord kill, and he is going to be happy about that. I don't know if he's going to get this Overlord though. The Queens will be on the lookout for Vikings, but that guy is going down. And yeah, there we go. Really wants to kill it though, and I think he might be able to do it. But oh, the Viking just pushed it a little bit too hard. Here's the main force coming in though. But yeah, HyuN looks like he's really ready for it. He's got a ton of Banelings coming out. Baneling speed on the way, and also Spire. So he may be stopping the Roach play and going for Mutiling, just straight up Mutiling. And that's not a bad idea at all. It's not a bad idea at all. So there we go. And Polt definitely been pushing the workers hard on 3 bases. He's up to a phenomenal amount of workers right now. He's fully mining at all 3, well, not these 2 bases, not so much, but yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job. Really, really doing a phenomenal job. But the Ling's coming in, manages to lift up, and this is basically going to be the name of the game until the Mutaclum comes out, which is basically do a ton of damage and then just lift everything up. But that's a lot of forces, actually. A lot of forces from HyuN, and something that Polt is really going to have to deal with, because I don't know if he can really deal with that. I mean, the tank pressure is really going to help him out quite a bit here, and the Widow Mines as well is going to help out. And he's just going to have to try and keep his forces alive, try and get in as many good drops as he can. There are some Lings and Banelings waiting back here, so they know that a drop is probably incoming. One Marine just sitting there, just going to be waiting to block the expansions, so that drone is not going to have a very good day. does get taken out. Wow, what a pity, but here we go. The first mutas coming out, run straight into 2 missile turrets. So 1 point to Polt there for thinking ahead. He obviously knew there was mutas coming out. Did he see? I don't know, it's game hard. I can probably go down to Mr. Polt. Where is Mr. Polt? Down there. He has not scouted this thing yet, but he obviously had an inkling that mutas were coming out. Maybe because he hadn't seen any hydras on the map yet. By the 15-minute mark, if you haven't seen hydras, you probably know that there's mutas coming out. But that is a lot of lings, and it's going to have to be an insane amount of tank pressure to really knock these guys out. And he does have a decent amount of tanks. He's got 5 tanks. 6 tanks, sorry, and a couple of widow mines as well. But pushing out. However, it looks like HyuN wants to push in. He went in a little bit, got hit by a widow mine. Oh no, takes out the widow mine. That's very dicey. Trying to kill a widow mine that is not shot its load yet. That is still ready to go. So quite risky, but. I mean, it does have a delay on the shot. The widow mine doesn't shoot immediately. It does have like a second long delay or something. And you can use that second long delay to your advantage. Oh, here we go. The Marines right in front. They have to be up front to defend the tanks. Unfortunately, the Bailey's coming in, forcing the Marines to just get the hell out of there. And the tanks all go down. And HyuN right there just showing how insane his forces really are. He just, boom, just went straight in there. And Polt just had no room to maneuver at all. He manages to hold back at the main base, but he did lose those 5 or 6 tanks that he had out in the front. And this is why, against Mutaling, so many Terran players are going for the widow mines instead of the tanks, because the tanks just constrict your movement. And when you're going up against Mutaling, you have to have maximum movement. I mean, widow mines, they're a lot better option. First of all, they're underground, they're cloaked. So it's a lot harder for the Zerg to see them. And 2, they're a lot cheaper. So they're a hell of a lot cheaper. You could afford to lose 1 million widow mines. You could not afford to lose 1 million tanks. And so yes. And of course the widow mines also do damage to the mutas, which is a much better option. So we can see. Oh, we're coming down, but the Marines coming down as well. Ton of Marine pressure. The mutas are going to have to run out of there. And there's no bailing, so the lings are going to have to run out of here as well. Great job there by Polt, and yeah, just not enough bailings coming in. A beautiful widow mine hit on the mutas. I don't think the splash damage covers both air and ground. I think if it hits an air target, then the ground doesn't take any damage, which is very, very lucky for a mutaling player, because if it hit both air and ground, you would just say game over at that point. It would hit the mutas, all the bailings would die, it would just be horrible. But here we go, Polt moving out once again, going for 3-3 at the moment. And it looks like the mutas are going in once again. I don't think HyuN is going to be pulling back for this. Here we go. He's got some bailings now. He's going to want to be running them into the worker line. There we go. Bailings coming into the worker line. Manages to pull most of these guys away, but the bailings are still following them. Doesn't get a ton of workers, but does get a fair amount. And Polt is actually getting knocked back quite a bit. And we got another attack coming down here. We just got Marines running around here, and they're just going to have to run back. The Bailey's trying to find a good target. A lot of them going into the planetary fortress, but a lot of them taking out the workers as well. And that was a sensational attack. Polt really taking some serious worker losses right here. And the mutas are just going to be finishing off more and more and more and more workers right here. So Polt really in dire straits right now. His army is not looking too bad, but his bases are looking like they're in shocking condition. He is basically less than half of the total workers that HyuN has. And right now, HyuN is just going nuts. I mean, as long as he doesn't screw up too badly, I think he's got this game in the bag. I mean, a couple of decent widow mine hits on this muta pack, though, will kill all those mutas. And if that happens, then HyuN may be giving Polt back some sort of advantage. But as long as he keeps these mutas alive... Oh, nice widow mine hit there. Oh, nice widow mine hit there. This is not good. HyuN needs to back up. He needs to heal those mutas. Another widow mine hit. It's just widow mines all over the place. You've got to heal up your muta force, because another couple of hits like that, all the mutas start to die, and then Polt can start to get it back into this game. But for the next minute or so, these mutas, he does not want to engage them, because they will go down twice as fast to a good amount of Marines coming in, and that is exactly what's coming into this base, a good amount of Marines. The Marines jumping instantly into the medevacs, trying to get away, doing a great job. Another attack coming down here, but it's just Lings, no Banelings in this army, and the Lings will get completely wiped out by this defensive force. So Polt doing a great job. He's got 2 forces, almost 3 forces if you include this series as well, and doing a fantastic job here. Getting the Widow Mines actually up. Man, if they hit these Baneling numbers, that could be insane. He's actually going to be cancelling a lot of them, or at least they're just going to be destroyed by the Terran player, and really, really nice job here so far. HyuN, he's got his mutas up to full health. He's going to be moving back. The Banelings not on creep, so Polt can just run circles around him, and he's going to be flanking in here, trying to save this base. The base goes up. There's not too many workers for the Banelings to hit. So they're going to turn around, maybe go for the Terran, maybe go in. There's a nice tank they can take out here, but they're going for juicier targets right here. Not really finding anything, and eventually just going to be moving out. Meanwhile, Polt just moving in with a bunch of dropships here, and I gotta say, as far as multitasking, Polt and HyuN really are the kings of their respective races. They're just multitasking like absolute bosses right here. Both of them using up at least 2 armies at the same time, and the Banelings just deciding to go for the workers, to go for the base, just takes the base out. And the Banelings weren't doing a lot before, they were really running around crazy, but Polt deciding to go in here and actually takes out this base. So great job there by Polt, evening out the base numbers, or at least cutting it down so the Zerg is only 1 base ahead, doing a really good job. And now what is he planning on doing? Going to be seeing a scan coming down here, going to be taking out the creep tumors. Luckily for a Terran player, the Widow Mines did not consider creep tumors a viable target, because otherwise that would suck if they started attacking that. But going back, not a lot of Banelings in the army for HyuN, so he's got to be very, very careful. And his mutas could just take so much damage just from the Marines. I mean, yeah, look at that. Another scan coming down. Obviously, some guys burrowing underground. And a bunch of Lings coming down. And HyuN, I feel like he's starting to have a bit of trouble keeping up with his Baneling numbers. He's got a ton of Lings. He does not have a ton of Banelings. There's a bunch more here. But he really needs a lot more, because there's just so many Marines, so many Marines on the map. And Banelings are really, really what he needs right now. Mutas coming across, and they're going to have an easy target of this command center, although there are Marines right over this side. Just going to be knocking back some creeps so they can very easily defend, but the mutas are actually going in for the main base, hoping to take out some barracks, take out some tech structures, and meanwhile, a bunch of Lings coming into this base. These Marines should be able to hold it off here, but the main muta army here is going to be an absolute pain. And Polt just going to be defending with reinforcing forces. He's not going to be taking his main base away. His main base is going to be moving in here. Main force, sorry. A bunch of Banelings coming in, but there's just not enough Banelings coming in there. Going to be taking out a ton of structures. And this base is going to go down. I don't think there's any hope of saving that. The muta's coming back from the main base. Going to be taking this out nice and quick, and then maybe hoping to support this. But as you can see, Polt has left. A bunch of Widow Mines, a bunch of Marines at his flank, at his backside, to defend against mutas, and it would be devastating if the mutas try and ran in there, but at the moment he's not doing it. HyuN is just going to let this base go down, and now it is 3 base versus 3 base, which is phenomenally bad, but the worker numbers are still absolutely horrible for Polt. He's down to 19 workers, whereas HyuN has 48 now, so he's managing to just knock down expansions, and it may come down to just this army versus mutas, because I feel like both players really at the end of their rope as far as the economy is trying to go. I mean, HyuN going for another base there, and if he can keep this alive, this may get him back into the game in a major way, but he has to deal with this, and he needs a ton of Lings to do that. He's actually getting 3 air weapons right now, so these mutas are really going to be absolutely insane. Still pretty fragile though, no armor, and armor would really be helpful if he wants to engage these Marines, but doesn't look like he's going to plan on doing that anytime soon. He's just trying to keep these guys away from the Marines, but the muta is flying around the base trying to find stuff to do, and they do get a few workers there, which is great, because I mean, Polt has so little workers at the moment. Only 11, only 10 now actually, and he's really, really screwed as far as the macro goes, but at the same time he's got a fantastic army. And the mutas, man, mutas is pretty much all that HyuN has, and he really cannot afford to engage any of Polt's army with the mutas. Maybe a small force like that he could make a deal out of, but oh, here we go. He's managed to build up the Baneling numbers and managed to get a nice bit of mutaling going again. So his army is looking good. And now he's got a chance to really start hitting Polt with all of these Baneling forces. But Banelings, man, they're so expensive at the moment. It's not just the gas, it's the minerals as well. His mineral count is so low. And he has to make every single Baneling last. And taking out all of those guys would definitely be a great job here. Here we go, the Banelings trying to come in. Boom, down go the Marines. And that was a significant part of Polt's army. But here comes the other significant part of Polt's army. And if he can take out those Baneling numbers, he is going to be right on top, going for the Banelings, trying to stim micro them. A couple of Marines get taken out, but for the most part, the Banelings do go down. And there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff there. Polt does manage to kill most of the Banelings, but he did lose a fair amount of forces here. A lot of workers are going to go down, but HyuN doesn't really care at the moment. Yeah, not doing all that well. Widowmine actually down here. That is not good as well. But the Mute is continuing to go around. I don't know if there's any point in trying to take out Polt's economy because he really doesn't have an economy anymore. He's basically just got a bunch of Marines and Marauders and not a whole lot else, really. He's just... I mean, he can try and mule up on this base, and that wouldn't be a bad option. Here we go, missile turrets, and the Mutas are slowly being knocked down, very slowly. Of course, HyuN has... I don't know, he can try and get more Mutas, but I feel like Mutas would be the most horrible choice if he wants to build something at the moment. Right now, he's basically just trying to afford a hatchery. He needs a hatchery somewhere. There you go. Finally takes that down. He's going to try and build a hatchery, but Polt is already over there. Already making sure a hatchery can't come down. So, man, HyuN is in such a desperate need of a fourth base right now. So desperate. Look at that. Another Marine coming down. We've got a Widowmine on that base. It's almost impossible for HyuN to get a fourth base at the moment. And without a fourth base, he is just so screwed. There he goes. Takes it down. Going to put the base down there. Bermuda Clump going to go out. Going to try and take out some forces there. But with a bunch of Marines and Widowmines, these Mutas are going to be able to do almost nothing to this base. They did get a couple of guys, but eventually chased away. And they're going to be moving out here, trying to do something here. And we do have a second army from Polt coming on, chasing the Mutas away. Every Muta he loses at this point in the game is absolutely huge, but he's actually trapped between two groups of Marines and HyuN. This may be the beginning of the end right here, because I just don't know if he can do anything right here. He's really trapped. He's going to have to hug the wall to get out of here, but even then, I don't think it's going to happen. He's got a gap. Does he know he's got a gap? I just do not know. I can't scroll any further over to the right side of the map. That's as far as I can scroll. Even if he gets out of there, what's he going to do? I mean, he's got nothing else other than Mutas right here. I mean, that's all he's got in the entire game. I mean, 9 Lings and 8 Banelings. That's all he's got. And meanwhile, Polt, muling his way into a victory, man. Look at that income, 700. That's damn good for 12 guys, and it's because he's got a ton of mules coming out. So, fantastic stuff. The Mutas trying to go out there, trying to bust through the middle. No, there's Marines on the top side. They can sort of bust out the middle, but they are going to take losses. Look at this force coming down. Oh, beautiful capture right there. Banelings coming in, trying to get some hits off. It's not really going to happen, and most of the Mutas do survive, and there we go. Most of the Banelings did go down there, and I think that Polt is firmly in control here. I think HyuN is just losing bit by bit. There, finally gives the GG. Oh, just accidentally knocked my fork, but yes, Polt is victorious. What a fantastic game, and I don't know, man, HyuN just holding on for as long as he could, but in the end, the inability of him to get a fourth base was really his downfall, man. I mean, Polt did such a fantastic job knocking back this base, knocking back this base, and in the end, HyuN just couldn't get a fourth base. He got a fourth base a couple of times, but he just couldn't hold on to it in the end game. And in the end, it was just the army. It was just Marines versus Mutas, and Mutas could not win, and HyuN could not get the Ling power he needed because he basically didn't have a fourth base. So, great play by Polt and fantastic victory. So, there we go. Thank you very much for watching. This has been HyuN Muppet, and I hope you enjoyed this game.